What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about something that is really curious to me about how people behave when they are depressed. More specifically, the idea that if someone can act normal, appear normal, and or even seem really well, really happy, really uplifted, really stable, let's just say, can they really be that depressed? Like, if you can fake it when you're depressed, maybe you're not that depressed. I want to talk about that a little bit in this video as it pertains to some things that I've observed and certainly some things that I've experienced as someone who's battled depression a lot in the last decade, more specifically as someone, or more acutely as someone who's currently struggling with depression for about 2 months. I want to talk about this phenomenon of being able to act okay when you really don't feel okay inside. Alright guys, thank you for checking out this video. I hope this topic is interesting to you. It certainly is interesting to me. So something that's been going on for me that I've been really keenly aware of is that in this current depressive state that I've been experiencing for the last 2 months or so, ever since my mood started to shift more notably to the dark side of how all of this works in terms of my experience in this world, I have a lot of social obligations and I have a lot of social settings and situations that I still engage with. And I've had a few days where my depression was so bad that I wasn't able to fake it, and a lot of people really could tell. They could really tell that I was not doing well. And those days will come. Those days will come. And I've also had a lot of, most days, thank goodness, and I'll explain why I say that, most days where I show up to the gym is where I'm referring to. I work out a lot and I coach CrossFit, and I spend a lot of time in the gym. It's a place for me to be social when I don't want to be social and when I do. It's a place for me to get outside when I don't want to be outside and when I do. It helps me with my self-care. But there's been a lot of days where I go in the gym and I'm surprisingly silly in terms of, it surprises me. I'm surprisingly outgoing. I'm pretty charming. I'm pretty witty. I'm pretty collected. I behave in a way that doesn't reflect how I feel most of the time right now. And I was wondering about that because I've had other people bring this up as well on camera, and I've thought about this before, so I don't know why I haven't made a video. But what does it mean when someone, in this example myself, can act straight up, like I can act like a goofball sometimes at the gym when I actually feel quite bad, like suicidal thoughts previous in the day, down, confused, foggy, apathetic, grumpy, just low, colored gray, the world. But I can go in the gym and I can act really normal, which is a term that we should do away with, quite frankly. What does that mean? Is this good? Is this bad? And I've come up with a couple ideas and thoughts, and believe me, half the reason I'm making this video, by the way, is because I'm really curious to know what you guys think about this particular thing. But I think it can be looked at in two lights. One, I think it's a really cool thing that I can still tap into a happy, joyous, and free version of myself, or a silly version of myself, or a version of myself that aims to be outside of me and focus on others in spite of what I'm ultimately feeling, because to an extent it is a measuring stick of the quality or the severity, let's say, of the depression I'm experiencing, to an extent. Because to me, look, I've experienced black tar, dangerous, suicidal depression before, the kind where they have to throw you in the psych ward and hold you for weeks at a time. I've been there. I've been to that level of depression. And in that level of depression, there is a certain threshold for how much you can fake it and how much you really can. I've been to that space where you just can't. You literally can't. You're struggling to stay alive. It's that serious. I've been there. So I remember what it was like to not be able to even put on a good face. Some people have a high pain tolerance, let's just say. Some people can somehow manage their social faculties and their emotional intelligence and their social skills and all that in freakishly depressed states. But I don't think I was one of them. I think I'm somewhere in the middle of being really good at that and then just like anyone else trying to get by. I bring all that up to say that because I know what it's like to be in a space where you cannot be faked, and I'm talking like you can see it in the color in someone's eyes, the expression in their face, the tone of their voice, everything, the quality of their skin. You know when someone's dangerously depressed. It's written all over them. So to me, I take some comfort. I take some comfort in the fact that while I am struggling with depression, I consider whatever's going on to be moderate, mild, with moments of perhaps more extreme, more severe. I'm able to still tap into what I like to consider the true me. I look at it as a good thing. The fake it till you make it, that's where that, to me, plays a relatively positive role. a relatively positive role because it allows me to stay in tune with instincts, right? Social instincts, emotional instincts. You can laugh while you're depressed. Some people don't know that. Sometimes it's amazing. Sometimes it's like the wall between you and then the depression is pretty thin. So to the point where you're there, you know you're there, and you have social cues, and you can acknowledge things are funny, and you can appreciate someone's company, but you're still in discomfort. I kind of liken it to like when you have a cold. Let's say you have a bad cold and someone makes a joke. You can laugh at the joke or make the joke while still being actually pretty miserable. And that's kind of what depression can look like and feel like for me in its current form, the way that I'm experiencing it right now. That's kind of what I liken it to. Now, the other side of this coin that I do want to bring up is that while I do think that is a positive to be able to tap into your true self while being a bit in discomfort, sometimes quite a lot of discomfort, I do want to say that it is very important. It is very important that at least someone, hopefully a few people in your corner, are well aware of the realities of how you're feeling inside. So something that seems to accompany depression for me personally is suicidal thoughts. I took them to be a tremendous source of relief back in the day when I was going through the most aggressive episode I've ever personally been through at this time. And suicidal thoughts, like I said, they offered me comfort because I knew one way or another I could make it stop if I needed to, and that was my control, my power. And it helped me actually continue to push forward because there was an escape button, there was an eject button. Only people that have been really depressed understand that sort of relationship with the idea of suicidality, because it is scary, and I am scared to die. But there was a time that I was more afraid of being alive long term than I was of the unknown of death. Now, as that loops back around to what I was just saying before that, I think faking it till you make it has certain qualities that you should not. Just be like, hell yeah, I still feel well enough or stable enough or whatever that I can still do that. But if no one knows that you're actually suffering, then we're getting into some problem areas, right? Like, so I think it's incredibly pertinent that somebody or a few people, a professional, whatever, a close friend, maybe both, actually it should be both, in an ideal situation, they know that, hey, I'm going through pretty bad depression. I'm spending most of my days in a weakened state, in a state of hopelessness, in a state of inaction, in a state of despair. I mean, someone needs to understand that so that you have that comfort, you have that game plan, you have that reality check, right, with someone who can acknowledge both aspects of you. And then you can feel more empowered to, if you can, suit up for the world and do your best to engage in it. And some days you won't be able to, because I've had days like that. I've had days where I straight up, like, I just couldn't do it. I was so down and so dark that I just, being there was tremendous that I even showed up, and people would just ask me, oh God, what's wrong? And that's a whole other video, because sometimes you don't want to show up because you don't want to answer that question. But the point is, if there's a balance, then I think that's the key. Because you're still in there and I'm still in there. And I've had days though where I straight up, and I think I've already said this, so I hope I don't repeat myself too much, but I have had days where I was just like freakishly depressed. And then I get to the gym, and then let's say I see people and they're my friends and I love them and I make jokes and I'm hanging out with them and I'm working out and everything. And then I get back in my car and I'm like wincing in depressive discomfort. And I'm just like, oh my God, that took so much out of me. Like, I was glad I went, of course, because one, I'm buying time. We're in a time distraction battle, or a distraction battle when we're depressed. At least I am. Often the whole like let's be present movement, you're just like, dude, you're really badly depressed. Yeah, you're trying to be present in distraction, be present in activity, be present in organization, be present in exercise. You're not trying to like sit and be present in the fact that you are acutely fucked up. But I've gotten in the car, like I was saying, and I've just like winced in discomfort, and I've looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, how did I do that? Like, if these people didn't know any better, barring my open communication, they'd think I was the happiest person on earth. And that's crazy, because my ass is depressed as fuck. It's wild that we can do that. And I know I'm not the only one, which is why it's important that I bring light to this, because acting okay, by the way, isn't a knock on the pain you're in. You still deserve consoling, comfort, support, help, right? And they can both live together. The you that's still fighting for normality, it's fighting for just regular interactions, as hard as they can be or as seamlessly as they come to you, you can express that and express your pain in one fail swoop, I think. The danger to me is if you are, like I already said, but it bears repeating. The danger to me is that if no one knows you're hurting and you're just putting on this face, but in your privacy, in your solitude, you're floundering. That to me is a problem. That's when I think we've gone too far with trying to just show up to life and do the best we can. Someone needs to know you're suffering. Someone really does, because that part of you needs to be nurtured and enclosed, in a really good way, in a really formal way, so that it's not just a pat on the back, hang in there, buddy. It can be more serious than that. It certainly is for me. You've been where I've been with depression. You don't take it lightly. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. So there is still a part of me that kind of wishes I could tell people when I see them, like, part of me wants to constantly let them know, but I'm hurting. I know I'm being silly, but please see that I'm hurting, because I want to be comforted. I'm scared. I'm scared. But the other part of me knows that because I have so much support, and I'm so grateful and lucky for that, and I've worked really hard for that, and I've situationally been in a space of just, God has put wonderful people in my life. It tells me that, if I can make someone smile, if I can continue to keep tabs and keep touch of that happy, joyous, silly version of me, that I truly feel like that's who I am in my core. I just think I have some physiological issues, some trauma issues, where I got depression, and I have depression. But I want to keep in touch with him as much as I can, as long as someone knows. Because we've heard stories, and not to end it on a particularly morose statement, but we've heard stories of people that maybe didn't have anyone they could be honest with. And you'll hear stories of people referring to them and saying, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe he or she took their own life. They seem so good. I just spoke to them yesterday and they were doing great. I try not to lose sight of that too, which is why I think the two should live together. And I hope to read your comments. I hope you feel like you can participate in this, and you don't know what your words might mean to someone who checks out this video, and to me. So please, what are your thoughts on this? How have you experienced, trying to behave in a quote-unquote normal way while you feel quite depressed? And are you like me? Is there that space where it's just you can no longer fake it and that just is what it is? Or are you one of those hard-nosed people that you will save face no matter what before saying to someone, dude, I'm messed up. I feel so hopeless. I feel so down. I think my vulnerability in that respect has been part of the reason I've been able to keep chugging on this earth, despite a tremendous longing for this suffering to be over that's come over me and washes over me from time to time still, but really aggressively back in the day. Because anyone who's ever been depressed knows it's not easy. It just isn't easy. And it's even harder if you don't have support and all those other things. So anyway, my name is Noah. Despite the nature of what's going on with me right now, I'm in a stable space today, or at least for the last few hours I have been, and I'm so thankful. So I was like, let's record some content that I've been avoiding. I've been avoiding recording videos because I'm just tired and my brain's foggy and I'm down sometimes. Yeah. We'll see you guys in the comment section. You better start typing. Don't be nervous or whatever. Just join. All for one. Plus, it's just you and me right now. And we'll see you guys in the next video, all right? Adios.